Hey traders, let's have some fun with Nikola. So I got to tell you, I was skeptic. I haven't looked at the chart. This is the first time I'm looking at the chart. I've heard the hoopla around it. I've seen the numbers and the headlines, and this is my first attempt at looking at the chart. So let me give you my preconceived perception, I should say, is that what? Nikola? So if at first glance it looks like this is a Tesla spinoff, almost as bad as Hyundai and Honda, where they just take the H and slant it a little bit, and hey, a completely different car company. These guys are using the same guy's name. So anyway, that aside, I just watched an interview with an executive there. I forgot his name now. So it looks like a legitimate business. And I don't want to poo-poo it at all. The trucks are slick. The idea of having the hydrogen alternative versus just straight up electric battery is pretty cool. And the idea that they're going to finance, infrastructure is always an issue. Like if I wanted to drive from here to Arizona, here in California to Arizona, I don't know if a Tesla can make it. I know they have rapid chargers, but then I have to plan it. The idea there is that they're going to do the same with the hydrogen part. So they have a plan as to how they're going to do this, how they're going to fund this. They have no debt. They've raised $1 billion between the IPO and whatever else they got off books. So it is a legitimate business. People do due diligence for the most part. So you can't just discount it just because it's a stock that's taken off. It may be the real deal. So long term will be the story. And I do like the fact that they present themselves as we are a technology and energy company, which is kind of the idea behind Tesla, right? But for what bothers me with Tesla is the fact that every headline, positive headline where the stock takes off is car related. So hopefully these guys don't fall into the same pit. I will buy the concept of, okay, you're a technology company. I don't want to pin you as a car company. Therefore, I'll give you a higher multiple, but you're going to have to show me at some point this is what we're talking about other than car production. So here we are. In fact, I don't know what they are. They say they have a lot of orders. They name Budweiser and whatever, but they're probably too new. I was trying to see a price to sales. That's really what it boils down to. What are your sales now, and how much hopium is in the price of the stock relative to those sales? For example, Amazon is 4. There's not a lot of hopium. The sales are happening. Sorry, the chat room is open. Speaking of, in the description, there's a link to try out the chat room for free. So it is, the hopium for Amazon is not that big, but the hopium for, say, Zoom is huge. It's like 70 times price, the current stock price to how many sales. So basically, if you're buying the company, you're saying, I love the company. Let me buy it off your hands. In fact, in order to do that, I'm going to give you 70 years worth of your total sales. How about that? If you come to me like that, I'll say, sold to you. Here you go. I'm out. Thank you. I wouldn't even pack my desk. You can keep my staplers. So in this case, I'm going to give them a pass on the concept because the trucks look beautiful. And we'll let time be the judge. Okay, so it's been trading, and then suddenly, boom, it exploded. I don't know if this was about the time where they got coverage from CNBC. I'm not sure. So let's this is a short-term stock, so you can't look at daily. It doesn't tell you much, right? It tells you that it was and then boom. So let's go down to 15 minutes to get some intelligence. Clearly this was a climax of sorts. And then we have a lower high, and then a lower high, and then meanwhile it has a higher low and higher low. What does that come up to? A whole bunch of energy, and something's got to give. Usually when there's a bunch of energy, you go from trading this range into a fine point, something's got to give. So this is where there are a couple of schools of thought. People who like to chase the breakout from a trend line, and people who like to chase the breakout from a level. I prefer the level. You miss out on the starting points of the breakouts from the trend lines, but you have fewer fake outs. This candle is kind of important for me. Whoa, I picked it out of the blue, and look where it matches up to this one. So if I were to start putting lines, this would be a place where I put a line. And just because it just spraying off the board for me. And so I'll just usually put the lines and see if I can make something out of them. As far as trend lines are concerned, it is easy to do that. You just connect the dots. So we have a trend that is going like this. So at some point, if they break from it, they'll try to run, they'll fail wherever they failed before, and then they try to do this. Okay, that's one way of doing this. The other one would be, you have whatever lines you want to end up connecting. Let's connect these three. That's why where I like to do the levels, and I'll show you the difference. So I'm going to do the levels on this one. So if they lose the last bounce, the bears might have a little bit more energy, and they're going to try to do something like this, the opposite of the other one. So it doesn't matter where I connect this. To me, it's the level that matters. So this was where they proved to me that they could bounce before, and so the assumption is that they will bounce again, and onus is on the bears to break it. But if they do break it, then they show that they overwhelmed the bulls for a little bit, and then they go to the next level that they fought over before. And in this case, the ramp has been pretty big, so to really find fine points, you have to drill down at a smaller time frame. So let's go to 5 minutes to see if we can get some of those. So this is another level that is kind of interesting right there. And so I'll just put a line here. And again, these are just visual reference points to this time frame. So just in case I can't line up lines today. Holy cow. So if I go to 15, just to see where that line is. Okay, so clearly there's a lot of room, but this has only been hours. This is just insane rapid rally. And if you wanted to see the visual, even though I put a line, or whoops, not that. I already put a line. I put a reference to it is right here, and I'm putting a line right there because I did reference it with this little jag. This wasn't random. I don't just draw zigzags. And if I wanted to put another one, it would be somewhere around here. All right, so these are mostly not hard lines in the sand. They're ranges, but around points that make sense for me. Everybody has a different opinion. If you wanted to get more granular, you can get down to the 1 minute chart. Let me reset it. Okay, so this is 1 minute. So you can see where clearly on the 1 minute chart where they want to bounce. So if you were active trader, this would be the level where you'd put a line and say, okay, you know what, this whole zone is important to me, so let's mark it. So it's not a hard line in the sand, it's more like this. And then let me zoom back out to show you where that is and reset and go back in. So right in the middle of this red line. I didn't mean it that way, but that makes sense. We're consistent. Okay, so there's no need to put it there because we already have a line. Okay, so this is what I think of it. I'm not telling you which way it's going to go, but I'm trying to forecast what will happen if they cross this point or that point. As far as triggers, if I'm a fast trader, I'd want to know what happens above this orange line that's going to come up, and this one I want to start looking at it, or this one. So it depends on how fast somebody's trading. This is a tight range. I will forego the breakout of the trend line. So if I want it to be, I'm trying to explain that concept, but anyway, maybe I don't need to. So somebody if somebody's tracking this trend line right here that I have not drawn, and they see a breakout of it, they start long right here. I would rather see the breakout from a level that failed last. So that's why I put the level triggers from my personal taste. Okay, so verdict on Nikola. You know, I didn't like that he was wearing a t-shirt during the interview that had their ticker symbol rather than their company logo. So next time I see a company logo, I wouldn't know that it's Nikola. You know, branding is everything. If I see a T anywhere, I know it's Tesla. And in this case, okay, I remember the Nikola because of Tesla's first name, or, you know, it's just, it is, I found it cheesy. Are you more proud of your stock than you are of your company? I know it's petty, but it is just an impression. But that aside, the company looks legit, and I wouldn't give it all my money, but if somebody's chasing it here for the future, that it could become another Tesla stock story, then how can you poo-poo that long term? Short term, these are the lines. Nick, signing out.